Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Church of Religious Science here in New York City. Welcome to everybody signing in on the Zoom call, everybody who's signing in anywhere. First Church is the home of Raymond Charles Barker. It's also the place where Louise began her journey in self-healing. We gather here every Wednesday evening for our creative living class and every Thursday evening for our self-healing class based upon the book You Can Heal Your Life, written by Louise. All of our virtual gatherings, the evening sessions Wednesday and Thursday are at 7 p.m. using the same Zoom links. Everything that we offer, our virtual telecasts, are supported by love offerings. We're deeply grateful for your presence, your energy, and whether you're joining us today on Zoom, as most of you are, or listening to us later in the day on any of the other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, Spotify, or YouTube, we're happy to have you with us. Today's lesson is entitled, Your Power, Your Choice. I'd like to start with a poem that we could use to center ourselves. And here it is. In each breath, a choice resides, to love or fear. Which one you decide, or what will you decide? The power to shape what's yet unseen lies in the choices made in between. In every life, in every moment, we have an opportunity. Every moment presents us with a choice. We're more powerful than we oftentimes allow ourselves to believe or think. Every single decision we make, every thought we choose shapes the world around us. This is the core of what we will explore together today. If we are that powerful, and this teaching tells us that we are, and that we always have been, how can we live in a more powerful way? How can we take back this power that the teaching tells us is at our disposal, that always has been available to us? How can we consistently make choices that will uplift us? How can we retrain ourselves? And how can we finally get to deeply realize the great truth that we are one with the one? How can we bring ourselves to understand that and feel it and sense it more, that we are one with the one universe? It's a presence. It's never an absence. It's in us. It's in everyone, all at the same time. So we want to get to that point where we have a deeper realization of this great truth. And we get to a place where we can understand that life is always unfolding in divine order for us and never against us. Perhaps we need a shift in perspective. We're living in times of tremendous change, socially, politically, economically, and spiritually. Nothing is as it was before. And it's real easy to feel overwhelmed by all the changes that we're going through, to feel like sometimes it feels like we're at the mercy of forces outside of our control. I know many of you watch the news. I do as well, even though I've been taught by every religious science teacher to watch it less. The news is rarely good news, but I know many of you watch it. And even though we suggest watching less or spending equal time listening to things that will uplift you, more time watching things that will uplift or help you, the news cycle will amplify this feeling of being powerless, and it makes it seem like the world is spinning totally out of control. There's wars everywhere. There seems to be a lot of division. If you turned on cable news, you'd be hearing that around the clock. But today, I want to remind you of something much more powerful than all of that. Well, we might not think that we're in control of the external world. And maybe we don't. We always have control over our own inner world. That's the power we have. We have control over our own inner world, our internal world. Raymond Charles Barker, one of the great spiritual teachers of religious science and the founding minister of this particular church, said something very powerful. He said, the world you live in is your individual world. And I'll say it again. Hope you can take it in. The world you live in is your, underline the word your. The world you live in is your individual world. The life you experience is your individual life. And you create that world by what you think, by what you believe, and by what you expect. So let's take a moment to let that really sink in. The life you experience is your individual life. Yes, there are all kinds of things happening everywhere outside of you, but your experience of those things is entirely within your control. You're going to experience the outer world in different ways. Everyone will, but your own particular experience of those things is entirely within your control. Your interpretation is yours alone. You get to decide. I believe Louise Hay said it this way: you create your experience by the thoughts you think and the beliefs that you hold. Yes, you create your experience by the thoughts you think and the beliefs that you hold. You are far from powerless. In fact, you possess a power beyond anything you can completely comprehend. In every moment, you're at choice, whether to embrace the power you have or to deny it. Yes, right now, you could think of yourself as powerful beyond measure because you are, or you could deny it. We always have that choice in any new moment. A Course in Miracles, one of the books I'm fond of, reminds us that we often cannot see our own true value. We can't see our value. We can't really see the true value of others. Yet that does not diminish the truth one bit. You are infinite. You are capable. You're whole. You're a spiritual being with power. You are an individualization of the one life. So even though you can't see it, it doesn't diminish the value. I would say you're 1 in a billion. You're an individualization of the Most High. And as you walk down the road, you have no idea of what you are and who you are most of the time, most of us. And as we look at our brothers and sisters, it really hopefully would be namaste. The spiritual part of me sees that in you and vice versa. We may not be there as a civilization, but that's the truth of our being. So again, from the Course in Miracles, we can't often see our true value or the value of others. Rumi, the great Sufi poet, captured this beautifully when he said, "You were born with wings." And then he asked, "Why do you prefer to crawl through life?" That's the question we're all here to answer. You were born with wings, and why do we prefer to crawl through life? We're born with immense power to use, as Ernest Holmes says, but so many of us forget our wings. We forget that we're here to fly. We forget that we can soar above life's challenges, and instead we stay grounded, weighed down by fear, by doubt, and a sense of hopelessness and helplessness. As Dr. Bill, one of my favorite teachers, used to say, this teaching is a first-class teaching for first-class people. And he said, you're not born here by accident. This teaching reminds you that your innate value, your worth, reminds you of your value. This teaching reminds you of your worth and your ability to rise. You have the power to break free of limitations. You have the power to embrace the strength that has always been a part of you and within you. A personal story of growth. I'm going to tell you a little. When I first came across these teachings, I struggled with a lot of it. I struggled with the idea that I had any control over anything. Life seemed hard in many ways. I was facing challenges that always seemed bigger beyond anything I could handle. And I couldn't understand yet how my thoughts or beliefs could possibly change much of anything. Finally, I, started attending New Thought centers, and my teachers would tell me everything is spiritual activity. Everything is what they would say God in action. But in the midst of all the struggle, I would wonder, how can this be true? How can that be spiritual? How could this terrible situation be spiritual? We always be asking these questions. How could anything this awful or this difficult be part of anything spiritual or part of my growth? It took me some years of reflection and many hard lessons, working against the laws of life, before I finally understood a profound truth. The power doesn't lie in changing the outside. It doesn't lie in changing the external reality. It lies in changing how I respond to this external stuff. The struggle itself doesn't define us. It's our perception, it's our understanding, and it's our reaction that hold the true power. Again, going to the Course in Miracles today, it reminds us that there is nothing outside of us. Everything we experience is a reflection of our own consciousness, our own minds. We used to say this person is tripping. They're tripping with their own consciousness because they have this whole gestalt of beliefs that's working against them. And these beliefs have been with them for a long, long time. So everything, again, we experience is a reflection of this body of information that's in our own mind. As Louise, one of our great New Thought teachers, said so beautifully, the point of power is always in the present moment, right here and right now. And we often will hear this familiar refrain, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. That's great, but we must truly understand the depth of that very thought. It's not just about wishing for peace, it's about realizing that peace, love, and transformation start within us. There's nothing outside of us that we can control. But within us, we hold immense power. We hold immense power to change everything. In this moment, right here, right now, you are the creator. Deep at the center of your being, in this moment right now, you are the creator. The world may feel like it's pushing against you. It certainly does from time to time. But the power to shift it begins with you. Every experience is an invitation to remember who you truly are. Every experience is an invitation to remember how great you are and to respond with strength, grace, and love. Let the peace you seek begin with how you choose to respond to this very moment. I know many might be thinking, oh my goodness, I fall short in so many ways and so often. And here's the thing. We are human beings. We do fall short. We'll fall short often. But we continue to practice. We start again. We remember who we are after we forget. We re-engage. We continually practice the awareness that we are one with this one energy. That's what we do. That's why they call us practitioners of this particular philosophy, of this thinking. This metaphysical approach where we're looking to see the good, the God, the divine in everything and everyone. So we continue to practice the awareness that we are one with this one energy, and we keep connecting lovingly. We keep connecting, we keep practicing. Let me share with you a little story. A woman I knew some years ago was going through a very challenging time in her life. Her health was definitely failing, her finances were in very bad shape, and her relationships, one and all, were messed up. Strained would be a better way to describe it. She felt like her life was stacked against her. She was caught up in a story, ain't it awful? And, whatever you would talk about with her, she would have a comeback with how tough things were. So she was in a loop of negative thinking, believing nothing worked out for her. All of her language had somewhat of a negative slant to it. And a lot of people do this without even realizing it. I'm sure many of you know that. Anyway, her expectations were that every day was going to be hard and every day was going to be difficult. And sure enough, that's what she had in her life, more and more tough days and more hardship. And she was in one of our classes for quite some time. And everyone's doing their best in classes and everywhere else. One day I think she had an epiphany or eureka moment where she heard a simple truth in a different way. And it's a truth, it's a statement we make in just about every class. We've been doing it for years. And it was, you were 100% responsible for your life. And she heard it one day, that day. And I'm sure we say that practically every class, or we say that in some, we'll paraphrase it if we don't say it verbatim. We talk here about the law of mind, and we talk about the law. We talk about the law of cause and effect. We talk about the law of correspondence. I've been teaching this teaching for many, many years, and really, we're always talking about the same idea. What you put out day by day and hour by hour comes back to you. When this lady was first hearing this truth, she didn't take it in. It's like she didn't hear it. Then one day, after God knows how long, she finally took it in, and then things started to really change. When she first was hearing these words, it seemed like a burden to her. This teaching never wants to, so we don't put out blame. So when we say you're 100% responsible, it's never to suggest anyone's to blame. Sometimes people interpret that line, as though they're being blamed for their life, which that isn't what we're attempting to do at all. If we have created our life in a certain way by our thinking, our thoughts, and our beliefs, if we know that, then that would suggest that we could create it in another way. It's just logical. Our thoughts are things, and we've created our life in a way it's working against us. Then we certainly have the power to change our thinking and then change our life. So in this case, with this individual, after a while, she began to realize this idea is no longer a burden, because she was smart enough to figure out that she now has a gift, that, okay, her thinking and her beliefs could turn it around if she really wanted it to. So she had been feeding the belief that life was difficult for a long, long time, and she created a very painful existence in so many ways. And life, of course, was corresponding to her thoughts, and her life was hard. We teach you in this teaching, if you can choose negative thoughts, then you can choose life-affirming ones also. She was, and we are all free to turn it all around. There's a song I like, I don't know if we can find it. It's called, "We Are Free to Turn It Around." We can choose and embrace new thoughts. Every morning, she would affirm, after she got onto this, I'm worthy of love, I'm open to abundance, life supports me in every way. So those were her affirmations, which I recall. She also worked on releasing the need for criticism and doubt, quietly beginning to let go of the inner voices that told her otherwise. So there it is. She started using the affirmation, I'm worthy of love, I'm open to abundance, life supports me in every way. And then she started using some general releasing statements, releasing the need to do that to herself. At first, as I recall, nothing seemed to change, but she kept at it. After weeks of consistent using the affirmations and the releases, something began to shift. She began to notice small changes, but significant changes for her in particular. Her health started to improve. Her griping about her finances, she stopped, and then some opportunities came her way. And most of all, her daily interactions with people started to get a little bit more pleasant. And that was startling to her, a little bit more light and more positive. I remember suggesting an affirmation for her from Louise Hay, which was, if I remember it right, everyone is here to be helpful. I believe that's the one she took on. Maybe it was something similar. Everyone is here to be helpful. And that resonated, that idea at least resonated with her. The point is, she exercised her power of choice. Today's talk is your power, your choice. So she exercised that power. We always have that power. It's entirely up to us. I say that so many weeks of the year. It's up to you. It's entirely up to you. The universe has your back. So the lady exercised her power, her power of choice. This is the executive power that Ernest Holmes spoke of, the ability that we have to direct our own thoughts and energy. Some people are poor executives. They don't use their executive power well. They give their power away. They give it away to circumstances, to fear, to people, places, and things, to fear and doubt. But in this teaching, we're always wanting you, I'll use the stagecoach analogy, to get out of your comfort zone and get up on that platform, and there are the reins. There's power for good in the universe, Holmes says, and you can use it. So we're circling back to that idea once again. We want to encourage you to wake up to the truth that you do have this ability. It's always there, it's always available, and always responsive to your thinking, to your thoughts, your beliefs. So I ask you today, what are you choosing to believe about your life right now? What story are you telling yourself, and what kind of energy are you putting into the world? Are you affirming your worth regularly? Are you affirming your abundance? Are you affirming your capacity to thrive? The truth is, when we change our thoughts, the energy we put out in the world always responds to us. It responds to us in kind. Life mirrors back to us what we believe about ourselves and about the world. Yes, life mirrors back to us what we believe about ourselves and the world. We've all had moments where we have felt stuck, moments where life seemed like all the things were happening to us rather than through us. It happens through our consciousness. If we're maintaining a consciousness of positive expectancy, and we're knowing we're centered in our awareness of ourselves as divine beings, we know that life is happening through us, through our consciousness. We have the power of choice, no matter how tough the situation, no matter how painful the challenge. We can always choose how we respond. I always say, I could see peace instead of this. So again, no matter how tough the situation, no matter how painful the challenge, we can always choose how we respond. And in that response lies our transformation. Most of you know one of my favorites, my line, which I've already said, I can or I could see peace instead of this. You can choose to see love, peace, and wholeness in every moment if you truly want to. You've got to want it, though. That's a slogan from the 12-step programs. It won't happen by accident. You got to want it. So you can choose to see love, peace, and wholeness in every moment if you truly desire to. And here's a still deeper truth that I borrowed from the Course in Miracles. It reminds us that in the moments where we feel trapped, the moments where we feel weighed down by life's struggles, we're not just making small adjustments. In these moments, we have an opportunity to step out of the illusion of limitation, and we can return to the reality with a capital R, we can return to the reality of our wholeness, and we turn back to the reality of our divine nature. So during these moments of struggle, this is our time to fly. This is our time to step out of the illusion of limitation and return to the reality of who we are as spiritual beings, our wholeness, our divine nature. This shift happens in what the Course calls the holy instant, and that's a single moment where we just let go of the false stories we've told ourselves and allow ourselves the restoration of our true nature. This isn't about fixing what's outside of us ever. It's about remembering the truth of who we are. We are always, always, always connected to the One. We are connected to peace, we are connected to love, and we're connected to healing. They are part of our very essence. You couldn't be separate from it if you wanted to be. Again, this is not about fixing anything outside of us. It's about remembering the truth of who we are and knowing we're connected to this one source, this one life, this peace, this love, always. It's part of our very essence. So let's ask ourselves today, am I willing to embrace the holy instant? Am I willing to embrace this moment where I can release fear, release doubt and limitation just for today, right now? Am I willing to embrace it? Where I can release all this stuff? Can I allow myself to be restored to wholeness, the wholeness that's always been here? No matter what the world seems to show me, am I in a place now where I can allow myself to be restored to wholeness, the awareness of wholeness? The power to transform your life doesn't lie in rearranging external events. We might try to manage it all, but the power isn't there. It lies in recognizing the truth within us. Every single moment offers us a sacred opportunity. This holy instant, every moment, right now, to come back to your center, to step out of illusion and into the reality of your power, your peace, and your wholeness. In First Church, we faced a major moment of choice not that long ago, a few years ago. Like many other religious science churches and centers, we were holding onto a model that no longer worked well. It didn't serve us anymore. For years, we rented very large and expensive halls, trying to fill seats. Our numbers of attending people were declining all through the 2014 on through 2017. And we were working against a trend and we didn't even realize it. The world was changing. People were engaging with spirituality in new ways, all kinds of new ways. Through online platforms, though, podcasts and other virtual communities, we were losing people. And we had to make a choice. Would we cling to the past and keep on hoping things would change, or would we embrace the future? We chose to evolve. We had loads and loads of meetings for many, many months. We sought out the experts. We gathered our information. And finally, we began to embrace the digital platforms like Zoom, YouTube, Instagram, now Spotify, and all the others. And something amazing started to happen. Our message started to get out of just the small area that we used to function in to larger and larger circles. Our reach grew and grew. Suddenly, we were doing what we always wanted to do, was have our message reach a large audience with people all over the world. Our community started to expand, and it continued to expand, not because we held on to what was familiar, but because we were willing to step into the unknown and embrace something new. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, reminds us that principle is not bound by precedent. That's an important line in the religious science teachings. Principle, this divine principle, this thing we call spirit, is not bound by anything. What does that mean for you and me? It means that no matter what's happened to any of us in the past, no matter how many times you've tried, no matter how many times you've felt stuck or how many times you've failed, you're not confined by those experiences. The past doesn't define us. It doesn't define our possibilities. It doesn't define our future. Just because something worked or just because something didn't work in the past, it doesn't mean it holds the key to your future. Life is always unfolding, it's always evolving, and it invites you always to evolve with it. The real question for all of us is, are you willing? Am I willing? Are we willing to release the stories? Are we willing to release the limitations that no longer serve us? Ernest Holmes said quite often, suffering is not of God. It's not God ordained. Life was not meant to be miserable. Or Stuart Wilde wrote, life was not meant to be a struggle. You see, none of us are truly bound by anything except the beliefs that we hold true about ourselves and about the world around us. If we keep telling ourselves the same old story or the same old stories like, I can't do this, it's too late for me, or this is just how things are for me, or I'm stuck, or I can't, I'm not good enough. If you keep on doing that, then those beliefs will continue to shape your reality. But if we release them, if we release the limitation, even just a little bit, like the lady in the story, just start working at it, just start practicing with the affirmations and the releases. If we do it, if we do that work, releasing those limitations, we create space for something new to emerge. Here's the key. The key is to trust that life is unfolding perfectly, even when you can't see the whole picture. Louise was always saying, I trust in the process of life. I trust in the process of life. That was one of her favorites. When we align with the flow of life, when we surrender and trust, we discover that there's always, always another possibility, another path that probably wasn't visible before. You are not bound by the past. We are not bound by the past. We are bound only by what we choose to believe today. Now, let me share with you a story that speaks to the core of today's lesson, your power, your choice. It's a story I'm sure you've heard before because I usually share it probably twice a year. But I share it that often because it holds such profound wisdom that's worth revisiting from time to time. Inside of each and every one of us, I want you to know that there are two wolves. I believe the guys are going to have a picture of it on the screen for you. I don't know if you can see it. Whether you can see it or not, I'm going to tell you about it. I'll describe it for you. One wolf, as you can see, represents fear and anger, resentment, blame, and all the thoughts that keep us small. Yes, anger, fear, resentment, blame are all the thoughts that hold us back and keep us small. This is the wolf that convinces us to dwell in the old wounds, to hold grudges and resentments, to resist everything new and to resist change, and to see ourselves as victims of our circumstances. Now, the other wolf, as you can see, represents love, peace, understanding, and compassion. This is the wolf that reminds us of our capacity for forgiveness, our ability to rise above any challenge, all challenges, and the truth that we are capable of great things. These two wolves constantly are battling for attention and control inside of each of us. The struggle between them is real, and it plays out in our minds every single day. The question, day after day, always is to ask, which wolf will win? Yes, the question to ask yourself is, which wolf will win? The answer, as you may already know, is simple. The one that wins is the one you feed. The one that wins, again, is the one you feed. So take a moment today to reflect on this in your own life. Which wolf have you been feeding lately? I always ask on Thursday, what's it been like being you? Which wolf have you been feeding lately? Have you been feeding the wolf of fear? Have you been telling yourself you're not enough, or that you'll never succeed, or what you've done is unforgivable? Or what do you tell yourself? Have you been replaying old hurts? Or have you been letting your anger get in the way? Have you been letting resentments keep you from moving forward? Maybe you've been caught up in negative self-talk, repeating thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I can't do that, or life is just too hard. Or perhaps, just maybe, because some of you are practicing this teaching, a lot of you are hopefully are practicing the teaching. Those of you who are practicing, maybe you've been feeding the wolf of love. Maybe you've chosen to forgive yourself and to love yourself, as we suggest every Thursday in class. Maybe you've chosen to open up your heart and trust that life has more for you, no matter what's happened in the past. Perhaps you've chosen compassion over judgment. Perhaps you've chosen peace over fear. Perhaps you really know that you can see peace instead of anything. Ask yourself, which wolf am I feeding in this moment? Remember, the one you feed will shape your experience of life. Every choice, every thought is an opportunity to strengthen one wolf or the other. And in this moment, this beautiful new moment, you have the power to decide. Phineas Parker Quimby, one of our early pioneers, the father of New Thought, I'm told, said once, the mind is matter and matter is mind. You are what you believe yourself to be. Let me repeat that for you, because it's really good. You have to think about it a little bit. The mind is matter and matter is mind. You are what you believe yourself to be. One more time. The mind is matter and the matter is mind. You are what you believe yourself to be. This means when you feed the wolf of fear, we are creating a world of fear. But when we choose to feed the wolf of love, we are creating a life filled with joy, peace, and abundance. Louise often reminded us that the core issue for everyone that she'd ever worked with beneath all the issues is I'm not okay, I'm not good enough, I don't do enough. And every time we feed that belief and beliefs that are similar, we strengthen the negative wolf. But here's the good news. We always, always, always are at choice. We always have a choice. Today's title, Your Power, Your Choice. At any moment, we can stop feeding the wolf of fear and start feeding the wolf of love. So let's take a little moment together for a little process. You might close your eyes for a moment. A brief process. Take a deep breath and exhale. And another. We're creating a safe space. I want you to imagine those two wolves inside of you, knowing that one is fueled by fear, anger, self-doubt, and the other wolf is nourished by love, peace, and compassion. Now I invite you to see yourself standing before them both. Which one are you feeding right now? As you breathe, imagine yourself offering love, kindness, and strength to the wolf of peace. Watch as this wolf grows stronger, more vibrant with each positive thought, with each decision to choose love over fear. Feel the strength of this wolf growing within you, the wolf of your higher self. And now look at the other wolf, the one fueled by fear and anger. See it, notice it becoming smaller, weaker as you choose not to feed it. You're no longer giving it your energy. You're not giving your energy to that wolf. Take another deep breath and affirm, I choose to feed the wolf of love. Yes, I choose to feed the wolf of love. I release fear, anger, and self-doubt. I choose to feed the wolf of love. I release fear, anger, and self-doubt. Let this truth settle into your heart. Feel the peace that comes from choosing love. Now, slowly open your eyes and rejoin us. So, regarding this choice, this power of decision, feeding the right wolf isn't something we do just in meditation. It's something that we do every day. Every thought we think, every choice we make is an opportunity to feed either fear or love. Deepak Chopra said, you must find a place inside yourself where nothing is impossible. So here's the thing, we are religious scientists. We know that we're one with the one. We know that we're one with power. And Chopra is suggesting we must find a place inside of ourselves where we know nothing's impossible. So deep in the center of your being is this place, is this thing. You have an internal guidance system. You're part of the divine. It responds to you because it has to. So let's take Chopra's advice. By finding a place inside of ourselves where we know nothing's impossible. That place is your consciousness. When we choose to feed love, when we choose to believe in our own power, we open the door to a life where nothing is impossible. Our founder, Raymond Charles Barker, echoed this truth when he said, what you think about and think about, you bring about. I hadn't seen that one before. What you think about and what you think about, you bring about. That's very good. This teaching is as true today as it was when he first said it. What we focus on, we attract. When we dwell in fear, doubt, and lack, we will see more of it in our lives. But when we get to the point where we focus on love, joy, and abundance, those things begin to manifest. The universe is always responding to the energy we put out. The question is, what energy are you putting out? Are you putting out right now? So again, what energy are we putting out? Another book, Attitudinal Healing from the Jampolskys, would say it another way. Are you a love finder or are you a fault finder? So in religious science, obviously we're focused on seeing the God, seeing the good. Love finders, we're attempting to live in that awareness more and more. Let me share one more story to illustrate this one more time. This one's about a guy I knew, someone who wasn't very optimistic when we first crossed paths. He didn't have a picture perfect life either. as few of us have. He was estranged from half of his family, and his relationships were rocky at best with many of his people. He was somebody I would describe as irritable, angry, a little bit beaten down, not entirely. His job wasn't going anywhere, and he always felt like life was a struggle. So I'm telling you this story because it's similar to the story of the lady. He got to a point that was really bad, though, as I recall, a point of despair. And he was given one of the New Thought books. I can't remember which one. And his initial reaction was, this won't change anything. He was very skeptical about New Thought. But he started reading it because he was curious, which was good. And he came across an idea. He came across the idea that your thoughts can change things. And he remembered reading that from, I don't know if it was Norman Vincent Peale or somewhere. And it sounded ridiculous. He didn't really believe in that stuff. But he thought, well, what do I have to lose? So he decided to try just a very little with some of the affirmations. The one he used was, I am successful. And he would look at himself in the mirror, and then he would, then the inner dialogue was, oh, no, you're not. Everything's terrible. But he began, and another one he used is, life supports me. So at first, as I recall, it felt pointless to him, and his story was, it just seemed ridiculous. But he did notice after a short time, things started to ease up a little bit at work. He was not as tense himself from saying the affirmations, and he started finding just a little bit of relief with dealing with his customers. He didn't find them all to be pains in the butt. He started to change is what happened. And it wasn't overnight, and it certainly wasn't perfect, but he went from despair, to hope, because everything was changing in his life. His business had changed a lot. And over time, this hope despair went to hope, and then it eventually evolved into having a certain quiet faith. He began to trust, as Louise would say, in the process of life a little bit. His family relationships got a little bit better, and he started to feel like there was a way forward for him. He was far from transformed, but he was no longer the same person who felt defeated by just about everything. His story, like the story of the lady, is a reminder that we always have the power to choose, even when things look and feel impossible. The energy that we put out creates our experience, one small shift at a time, one thought at a time. So let's affirm together today. I give joyfully, I express life fully, and I know that life supports me as I give. So let's bring our energy up and say to ourselves, we give joyfully, I express my life fully, and I know that life supports me as I give, whatever I give. Life loves a giver. So let's round it out today, knowing that every thought we choose shapes our reality. It's real easy to get caught up in the habits of feeding fear, anger, or self-criticism, but every single moment offers a new opportunity for us to choose differently. This is our power, this is our superpower, and it's always going to be found in this present moment. So let's take a moment to affirm our power. I am 100% responsible for my life. I create my reality with my thoughts, my beliefs, and my decisions. Let's feel the truth of those words. I'm 100% responsible for my life. I create my life with my thoughts, beliefs, and decisions. Here's the thing. None of us are passive observers of life. We are all, each and every one of us, powerful creators, whether we realize it or not. We have the power to shape our reality with every thought, with every choice, with every single decision. So let's affirm one more time with strength. I am 100% responsible for my life. I choose love, peace, and abundance. Yes, I choose love, peace, and abundance. Before we close, of course, we're going to open up the floor to you. This is your time to share your thoughts, your feelings about your power, your choices, whether it's a personal story of your transformation or on a reflection, something you've realized, or just say hello. I'm Joe from wherever you're from, and we'd be happy to say hello to you. So I hope to hear from everyone. We have time, a couple minutes, I think, for everybody. Thank you for being with us, and so it is.